The Minister of Finance, our taxman, says the Tinubu administration or Nigeria is not going back to subsidy regime. And some people are clapping for him. Oh yeah, fantastic policy. But here's the question, and it's the brutal question that we must answer with brutally honest truth. Was there a subsidy regime? Oh yes, there was a subsidy regime. So the better question would be, did we pay fuel subsidy? Did we? My simple answer to that is we didn't. And it's not my answer. It is the answer of the former Group Chief Financial Officer of the NNPC. Group Chief Financial Officer of the NNPC. He came out and said that the NNPC never paid anybody for any amount for fuel subsidy. He never paid anybody any amount for fuel subsidy. From 2015 to 2023. He made this statement in 2024. He made a statement in 2024. So from 2015 to 2024, a period of 10 years, the NNPC did not make any payment to anybody as fuel subsidy. Group Chief Financial Officer of the NNPC was the one that said it. So when you say, oh, we cannot go back to paying subsidy, the question is, did you ever pay subsidies? If you did, who did you pay to? Do you know more than the Group Chief Financial Officer of the NNPC, who came out to say they never paid a dime, and I'm quoting him, as fuel subsidy to anybody from 2015 to 2024? Do you know more than that, NNPC official? Tinubu did not remove fuel subsidy. He simply increased the price of petrol to punish Nigerians and benefit himself and his cronies, to the delight of the IMF and the World Bank. That was all he did. Don't take my word for it. I'm not the one saying it. Anybody who comes to tell you, oh, Nigeria was paying so much for fuel subsidy, Nigeria was paying so much for fuel subsidy, in fact, we were using all our revenue to pay for fuel subsidy. In fact, we are borrowing to pay interest on fuel subsidy. Ask them, what do they understand by DSDP? Direct sale, direct purchase. It is clear that whoever says that is doing one of two things. Is either that person is incredibly, genuinely naive, or the person is incredibly corrupt and attempting to cover up corruption. It's one of those two. Now, if you understood the DSDP arrangement, even without the statement of the NNPC's Group CFO, you will know that NNPC was not paying a dime for the petrol that we consume. They were not. They were just mortgaging the crude that we produce against the fuel, and they were making their money. In fact, they were making money from selling petrol to Nigerians. That was what NNPC was doing. And in that period, they were not remitting anything to the Federation account. Zero. And from what the NNPC Group CFO said, not me. I'll look for that video and play it for you. Maybe some of you have not seen it. I think a lot of you have not seen it because that video didn't go viral. And some of you have seen it. Maybe you didn't regard it or you have forgotten. NNPC Group CFO. This is the person in charge of all the finances of NNPC. If any money was paid to anybody for fuel subsidy, the Group CFO will know. So for the Group CFO of NNPC to come out in public, in front of the media, he is looking at camera is looking at him. He knows it is recording. He knows that that information will be on the internet. And once it is on the internet never forgets. 100 years from now, if there is no apocalyptic event, those videos will still be online. He knew it, and he still went ahead to say that the NNPC since 2015 did not pay a dime to anybody as fuel subsidy. He said it. How will anybody that calls himself a patriotic Nigerian still insist that we were paying fuel subsidy? It was gulping all our money. We never paid. What we had was corruption in the oil and gas sector as a whole, not just NNPC. A sensitive and an empathetic government would have come in, would have removed the corruption in that oil and gas sector, and fuel will be selling for 300 naira per liter today. Yes. And the NNPC and whoever will still be making profit. How much is it? There are benchmark, international benchmark. Dangote refinery is a 650,000 barrels per day brand new refinery. The efficiency is high. There are benchmark for the cost of refining 1 liter of petrol. There are benchmarks. So if it costs $10 to refine 1 liter of petrol, one barrel of crude oil, to get, the maths is clumsy, 3-2-1 model. They call it the 3-2-1 model. So you have 3 barrels of crude oil, you get 2 barrels of petrol, then you get 1 barrel of residue. That's the 3-2-1 model. So you can do the math. Fuel will be selling for 300 naira per liter today at our devalued exchange rate. And both Dangote refinery and our own refinery will still be making profit if we had a sincere government that looked at removing the corruption from the oil and gas sector, the corruption in the NNPC. Many people don't know that the reason why since Buhari, successive presidents have made themselves the Minister of Petroleum Resources, is to cover up the corruption in the Petroleum Department, Petroleum Ministry. So anybody coming now to say, oh, we will not go back to paying subsidy, is not a patriotic Nigerian. That is not a patriotic statement. That is a statement of lies. And it's not done in the interest of Nigeria. So, Mr. Oyedele, you did well in pushing the tax reform bill. But please, when it comes to this issue of fuel subsidy, I'm not sure say you know much about them. Because even the CBN governor, you don't know how the NNPC operates. So it is what the NNPC is, a black hole. It is what they tell the CBN governor that the CBN governor will know. It is what they tell the Minister of Finance that the Minister of Finance will know. So the way the NNPC operates, even you as Minister of Finance, you don't get information. The person who has the information is the Group CMD and the Group MD CEO of NNPC. And you know what? It does not report to you. It doesn't even report to the Minister of State for Petroleum, whether oil and gas or whether petroleum resources. He reports directly to the president. And if the president does not know the nitty-gritties of the oil and gas, they will run circles around him and tell him lies. So you, Oyedele, congratulations on becoming minister, but there are things you can't just be speaking about. The subsidy payments were a fraud. Even Buhari knew this way back. And that's why it was cleared for like between 2015 and 2016 and mid-2017 when Ibe Kachiku was the Minister of State for Petroleum. He was firm, and that was why he was removed. Because then he was on top of Mele Kyari's case. He was bent on stopping the corruption in the NNPC. And Mele Kyari will not have it. And because, in fact, Mele Kyari said it now, that he does not report to the Minister of State. So, he will take the information straight to Buhari, who also knew, because he was PTDF, He was Minister of Petroleum at some point. So he knew the petroleum industry a little. And so he made himself Minister of Petroleum Resources. And him and Mele Kyari, they know all the corruption deals that they did. Nobody can say Tinubu did not, Buhari did not know. He knew. But you, as Minister of Finance, you cannot know now. Now, between the MD, the GMD and GCEO of the NNPC and Tinubu right now, there are things they are discussing that even the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil and Gas and Crude Oil will not know, not to talk of you, the Minister of Finance. You know that as Minister gone safe, the way the NNPC manages its account, the NNPC, they sell their crude oil, and their crude oil, the money, the revenues they get, they're not in the Nigerian economy now. NNPC has accounts everywhere. Malta, Grenada, Boom. And these accounts are in world-class banks, JP Morgan, Chase, and the like. So when they sell our crude oil, whoever is buying pays them into those accounts. It is from there that they will now decide what to send to CBN. So until they send whatever it is they are sending to CBN, nobody knows what is going on in there. Only the president can know if he's savvy enough. That is why this 210 trillion naira investigation they are doing, the only person that can answer that question really is Tinubu, is the president. But does this 10th National Assembly have the balls to call the president to come and question him? So if you call even the GMD and the GCEO of NNPC to come, he will run circles around you now. You saw the other day, Shomole was angry that the group managing director of NNPC is not respecting them. Why would he respect you when he has the ears of the president and you guys cannot hold the president accountable on this simple matter? So, fuel subsidy, let nobody deceive anybody. They didn't pay fuel subsidy. In fact, we'll do a deep dive into this one. You see that there was a difference between fuel subsidy under the DSDP arrangement and fuel subsidy under the Oil Processing Agreement, the OPA, which was what happened under Jonathan when Desiani was Minister of Petroleum Resources. Different things. But in both of them, monies were not... Okay, fine. In OPA, some people were bringing fake invoices to collect money. That one is pure fraud. So if you hear that some marketers were prosecuted, it was during the OPA regime under Jonathan. Under the DSTP regime, under Buhari, no dime was paid to anybody. NNPC was just busy having a field day, privatizing the resources of Nigeria into the pockets of the president and his cronies, while nationalizing the debts of the NNPC. That was what they were just doing. So Oyedele, please, get information and make sure that when you're saying things in the interest of the people.